All right, guys, I apologize about the delay. Got back to Dallas and finally kind of getting reorganized again. But with that being said, I am going to adjust the due date because it took me a little bit of time to get this up. And again, that's not your guys' fault. So I want to make sure just to put that out there first and foremost. So the goal of this video again is to get you guys on track and give you some tips and tricks and walk you through the guidelines and expectations for the video research presentation. Again, this is not a research paper. You are not writing a research paper. You are putting together a presentation. That is something that in a 1000 level class, we expect all students to have. But again, it's a skill set that as you leave and go out into the world and you find your job, right? This is something that you guys can absolutely utilize in your back pocket, which is also why I make you put it into the particular format you have. Sometimes jobs ask for these types of just examples. And if we haven't been out in the job world before, again, this is why work in school is really important. So with that being said, I want to walk you guys through kind of the last couple of weeks because we are absolutely coming down the home stretch here. And I want to make sure that we are on track for wrapping up really the last couple of weeks of class. So as always, you can find everything that you need and everything that you need to have answered in terms of setting up office hours or beyond inside the Canvas shell. So if you click on modules, and some of you have already done this because you have been asking me through email, or you have set up time with me via the Calendly link so that we can meet during office hours. But right here, one of the kind of fourth modules down that I have is the research project. Hopefully at this point, you have opened it up and started to look through these things because looking at the syllabus, we're in the last home stretch, right? We're finishing up today, which should be chapter 13. Tomorrow, you will complete your very last lab assignment. Next week, you will have SmartBook chapter 14. There will be no lab due. And you'll see here, I have made the adjustment to the syllabus, and I will make this adjustment after I finish this video and send you all the announcement that instead of your video research project being due on Sunday, I'm moving it to Wednesday. It gives you a little bit more time. Please note, though, the rest of the schedule has not changed. You will finish the last week of classes with chapter 16. You will need to comment on 2 other student presentations, which we'll walk through in just a second. And then you will take and finish your last exam by Sunday, December 3rd. Notice here, we're calling it exam 4. It is not a final exam. It is not cumulative, and it is not taking place in exam week. I did that very strategically for you all so that you can finish the course and focus on other courses if you are taking face-to-face classes, or more importantly, if you have upper level courses that you need to work on for your degree plan. So please just note the only change is that I have moved the due date for your video research presentation to be uploaded. And that will be instead of next Sunday, it will be the following Wednesday. Again, please just make sure to stay on top of it. And this is a good thing. You have extra time now because following this Saturday, no more labs are due. So you really have time to be able to focus on 1, 2, 3 chapters. We don't have 4 chapters for your last exam. And we've got some extra time built in that we don't have to focus on the labs. So now that we have kind of a timeline of where we're going for the last couple of weeks, let's get into the video research project. Again, I have everything nooked under the research project guidelines. It's all here for you, but sometimes we need things printed out. I know I do. So go ahead and just download it. Download it in the Word format copy. And again, look through this, read through this, take time now that you have a little bit of extra time. Really think about what you want to talk about here. We'll go through all these details, but this is 100 points, guys. This is where we can really get those points and bring our grade up if we're teetering or if we're close. This isn't going to substitute if we're failing right now. It's not going to bring us up to an A. But again, this and really making sure we're successful in the last couple of assignments and that last exam, we have a good shot. So what do I want you to do? Over the past 17, 16 weeks, you guys have been going through different environmental science concerns. We've been talking about what environmental science means. We've been talking about things like air pollution and water pollution. How does recycling work, right? But those are gigantic topics. So gigantic, you're taking an entire course on them, and we're only focusing on them for a very short amount of time. So for you to try and tell me about something as large as water pollution or climate change, there's just not enough time on earth for you to do that right now. You'd have to be starting right now and finish till the end of time to do that. That's not the goal of this. The goal is for you to focus in and consider different topics that you've moved through this course and think about something that kind of interested you. Wow, I didn't know about this, or wow, freshwater covers, way more than I thought it did. And I didn't realize that there's, the great geyser, the great garbage patch out in Hawaii. There were things that maybe touched and sparked your interest a little bit. Take that topic, whatever that may be, and now you're going to focus it specifically to Texas. There's a reason for this. Students think they want to go broad. They want to go big, reach for the stars. Bigger, broader means you should be covering more, and it should be a very thorough presentation. The more specific you get on something, it actually makes it a lot more easy, or easier, I should say, for you to be able to present on something. Talk to me about something that is specific to Texas. So with that being said, all of these broadscape problems that we've looked through, these are not specific enough. However, if you are talking about something like Shingle Mountain, and I cannot have Shingle Mountain as being the only thing as a choice, but there's lots of different options for you that are right here in our backyard in Dallas, in DFW. There are wildfires that sometimes happen east-west side of the state, right? We have Trinity River concerns. Trinity River goes broad scope from north to south in Texas. So maybe you want to even just type in your hometown or wherever you're stationed right now, or within close proximity to the university if you are in another location, something specific to Texas. The more specific you can get, the better, because that is going to make for a more engaging research presentation. So, things that I want you to also be considerate of. You don't always have to tell me about the bad things. We hear enough bad things. If there is something that you have heard about as being an environmental success, maybe they did a cleanup and it worked, or they installed a solar farm and it reduced, the pull of natural energy in a recyclable way. Maybe there was a tree planting that is now producing more oxygen per volume in a certain area of Texas. There are major wins. You can even go towards the political side. What laws, what policies have been passed? There are nonprofit groups everywhere advocating for great things, and they're doing really wonderful work. So I don't want you to have to be stuck on it has to be doom and gloom. Anything that excites you, that's what we should focus on. And we have to make sure we can find enough information because it's a research project. And we also need to make sure it's specific to Texas. So things I need you to consider to make sure we're getting the bare minimum, right? For like starting at a C. Your project should be comprehensive, meaning that you dig into the issues, talk about the controversies, right? We're going to talk about actually step by step what needs to be in the presentation. You need to have research support. It's called a research project for a reason, right? Back in the day, some of us remember going to the library, getting out the old encyclopedias. You'd have to reference the encyclopedia, write down that information, make copies, right? Whatever it may be. Now, thankfully, we have a phone and we have computers and internet access that can give us that information. But I need you to showcase to me where you received that information, right? Another huge reason why I'm not having you write a research paper is it's really easy for ChatGPT to write me a research paper now. I get it. It's not the greatest at it. Sometimes it gets the research references wrong, but I don't care about that, right? ChatGPT for another time, it's a beautiful resource. I want to see how well you can put information collected into a presentation and tell me about it. That's the goal of this, right? Again, don't be generic. I need you to have statistics. I should have graphs. I should have representation. Maybe you want to show me where in Texas this is pertinent to. Maybe you want to zoom in. Maybe you want to show me population demographics. Maybe you want to show me a map and a display of something that is the bug or insect that you're trying to tell me about. The more pictures, less word, and more that you can speak to it, the better. That's what makes a good presentation. So sometimes this isn't firsthand nature. I totally could get that. Let's maybe watch a YouTube video. I put this in. This is not what I expect you to present on. This is purely just a video that shows you what goes into a good presentation. You do not have to follow this step by step, but it kind of gets the juices flowing of thinking about what do I have to put into a research presentation. All that being said, right? Once we're done with looking through, maybe we've got an idea. Now, what do I actually have to have, Dr. Vargo? What do I need to guarantee that I'm starting at a C? And then we'll talk through what can get me to an A. First thing foremost, specific to Texas. Do not tell me about water pollution in the Gulf of Mexico. That's not specific to Texas. The Gulf of Mexico touches a lot of different states, not specific enough. Now, if it's one particular location on the Texas coast that is contributing massively or seeing the repercussions of that, maybe you have to sell the story to me, but I have to know in Texas, right? Don't tell me about air pollution in New York. I don't care about it. That I don't care about it, but it's not pertinent to what the requirements of the presentation are. And if you ask me, why didn't I get the good grade on it? And it's air pollution in New York, I'm going to tell you, go back and read the guidelines, right? It's right here. Numero uno, as a matter of fact. Go to a deeper dive. If I pulled a 5th grader, a 3rd grader, maybe even a 1st grader, and I asked them, where does garbage go? Why is garbage bad? What is air pollution, right? What is water pollution? I would get a general understanding even at that level. I don't need to go and pull out my phone. These are terms that we're pretty confident with, right? If I told you to describe me the basic concept of a tree, you probably could go to it, right? That is not what I'm looking for. I do not need a definition of water pollution. I do not need a picture of waves of water. That's too generalized. And it doesn't tell me that you took the time to research this issue. It tells me, uh-oh, I forgot to do this and I got to put together last minute. That's going to lose points. So here you are, slide by slide by slide. So what does this say? In total, it looks like Dr. Vargas put together 8 slides. I need roughly 8 slides. And I have put in for you exactly what each slide should be, right? Introduction. Tell me about your topic. What's going on? Why should I be concerned with it? Why do I even care, right? So state the environmental issue specific to Texas that you have identified. Again, be specific. What has happened to cause this environmental problem? Who or what was involved? Where did it happen, or where is it currently happening? And any other relevant information to give me a backstory of why this is important, right? There's a reason chapter 1 is chapter 1, and a reason chapter 16 is chapter 16. It's because we built the knowledge to get to chapter 16. Yeah, you could stop into chapter 16, but you might have to be like, well, I'm not sure I understand that particular word. You have to go back through and find that information to understand all the concepts in chapter 16, right? So here's where you're building the narrative for me. What is this problem? Why should I care? Now, if you're taking the approach of, I want to tell you about a good thing, these are still really pertinent questions that I need to have answered. Why is this something that was a concern? Why should I be concerned with its cleanup? What policies came out of it? You know, we love true crime documentaries because we like to hear the bad stuff, and then we love to hear that the person got caught, right? That's just the human nature of us. So here's where you're kind of building the case for me. Now, 8 slides is the minimum. You can expand out, you can contrast, but again, I'm not looking for a 35-minute presentation from you. I'm looking for concise information to get me to this person did the relevant legwork to tell me about this topic, right? I'm walking away with a little bit more insight than I had before. So from here, Maybe your next couple of slides, one or two, purely just pictures, right? We've all sat in a presentation where the person has just read from the board. I can read, you can read, right? We don't need to be read to. And again, fun little fact, the brain can't choose between reading or listening. It has to choose one or the other. I want to focus on you. You're the star of the show. That background information is me just glancing at it while I'm watching you give your presentation. You're the star. Sell it to me, right? So anything that you can tell me about why this is an issue, any cool pictures that you find, make sure to put a little reference in there as to where you're pulling it, because again, it's not your picture, but anything you think that will tell me a little bit more and bring me in. Now to the important part. It is a research paper, so we need to make sure we are finding research. Well, Dr. Varga, I'm not really versed in that. How do I know that I'm finding the right research? I want to get an A. Perfect. Let's make sure we do get an A. So you'll notice one of the requirements is I want you to find one peer review research paper. Okay, what is that, Dr. Varga? I don't know what a peer review research paper is, or maybe I've heard of it, but I'm not quite sure how to find that information. Not a problem. That is not firsthand knowledge for everybody to just have, right? But the library's got wonderful resources for you guys. So inside of here, right, if we go down into the library, right, so under academics, scroll down to library. And then lo and behold, right, maybe we've been here, maybe we haven't been here, but this is something that we should be very familiar with because this is a resource you guys pay for to attend our university, and you should absolutely utilize it for lots of different things, not just the research paper. My biggest piece of advice, go to electronic resources. When you click on that, it's going to open up a bunch of different things. It's okay. My biggest piece of advice would just click on EBSCOhost. It's the first one. It's a wide database that should give you a lot of kind of pertinent information, and we can whittle it down to our peer review. I'm going to make sure it's really easy for you. So as this gets pulled up, here we have the opening page. It's giving us some information. Okay, I've got an open box. I can search articles, books, journals. Great. But notice here, it's giving me an easy breezy pass. So guess what? I can click peer review right there. And now I know I'm getting peer review research back. No matter what, I haven't done anything else, but I've checked my box and I know I've got peer review research, right? And again, we only need to find one. Doesn't mean you don't have to find only one. You can find as many as you want. The more, the merrier, because it helps to solidify the problem, right? It tells me that you did the research. So I would also narrow it down a little bit further so you find something that's relevant, especially if it's something that you found through a news article in the past 10 years. I would probably do past 5 to 10 years, right? Do past 5. It's bringing you to the most relevant. Now it becomes how you want to enter in information. This is something that you are all familiar with. You do it every single day when you Google search, whatever it is you're trying to find. You're way better at this than I was when I started this because you've had Google to be able to ask the questions. And what do? You just narrow it down, right? I'm looking for carpet cleaning service, right? Okay, great. I'm looking for carpet cleaning service Dallas. I've narrowed it down. I'm looking for Oriental rug carpet cleaning service Dallas. You see where you're adding more information in and it's narrowing your search for you. So as you add in here anything, I hate doing this. I'm going to try and pick something that is nothing to do with environmental science because I'll get back a bunch of students getting this particular topic. So let's say, Dallas STEM schools. I know that that has no relevance for here, but it's like the easiest way I can guarantee that nobody's going to just copy and paste what I've done, but let's just see what comes up, right? So now it's going through the database. What is it doing? Past 5 years of research, and it's finding me fully online text, so something I can open through the library. And 2, it's also helping to narrow it to just peer review in 5 years, right? So it's got some of the keywords, right? Maybe right now we don't have a lot of research on Dallas STEM schools. I'm not really sure, but what I do know is it's highlighting for me the things that I put into my search box, right? And it's showing me exactly what my search box is. So maybe this isn't specific enough, right? Maybe I need to go in and reassess it to Dallas. Let's just say STEM. Let's just see what comes up for that. Okay. So I was looking at it as science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. But for the purposes here, let's just see if we've got anything that comes up. A lot of it's going to be stem cells, stem cells, stem cells. Okay. Maybe this one isn't that great. So let's see if I can find another thing. Dallas. Man, I'm drawing a blank on something to search for you guys. Let's just put in Dallas oil because it's pretty well known. I have no idea what it's going to pull up, right? But here's what I do know, right? A lot of different things are going to come up, and I don't know if it's going to start looking right. I'm going to have to start kind of narrowing down to different things. And again, here's a perfect example. It has Dallas, it has oil, but Dallas is a person's last name here. Now, this is kind of a terrible example, but I'm trying to get around just putting in Dallas water pollution because I don't want 75 research projects on Dallas water pollution. But that being said, you're looking for it to be able to highlight and showcase for you. So I'm going to just go to something that I know specifically, and that's my area of research. So I know you're like, what is this? But this is a very specific protein I worked on. And now, boom. Now I know I am within this protein field. I'm specifically looking at this because I know this and it's pulling up, it's highlighting it for me. What does that mean, Dr. Berta? I don't care about this dang protein. What I want you to do is once you have realized, okay, I found research that's specific to Dallas or specific to Texas or specific to something, right? And everything lines up, click on it. What you're going to do is when you open it, I'm not expecting you to read all of this and understand and digest all of it. But what it is going to do is it's going to give you an overview, right? And again, here's some options. You can download this paper because you have access through this database as a student, right? And let's download it. And let's open it up. Now, again, as long as we have clicked on that first home page, peer review in full text, which again, the library automatically checks that box for you, you should have only those papers that you can open like this and see the full article. Why is this a benefit? Well, as peer review scientists, we have to pay to get these submitted, right? These are things that we want the community of scientists to look through. And it's peer reviewed because it goes out to other scientists in our field. So if I'm studying Snapdotagmin, it's going to go out to other scientists that are studying Snapdotagmin. They're going to say, yep, this is credible. No, this is not credible. That's what we want. You want your peers in your field to give you feedback that your research is correct, that it at least is showcasing the result you're telling me, and that it's moving the field of science forward in this particular subject. That's what peer review research is. So, big thing to take away here after all that. Go through and read the background. Just read this little box. Almost every single research paper has this little box of information. You should not completely understand everything. I don't expect that. But there should be some information here that tells you about the problem you're researching. More importantly, a lot of these research papers have built-in graphs and data. This is a crazy one. I totally understand that. But if you were going to represent this, right, you would be pulling it and needing to cite and reference this group of research work because these were the people that did it. That is what lends me to know the research was, you went out, you found this information, it's not yours. And it's actually citable where I can go and read it myself. That's what the citation process is for. So let's go back through, right? I need to bring up the topic. I need to highlight some generalized information. And then from there, I really need to do a couple of different slides that showcase the real research findings. So again, statistics, facts, graphs, data maps, anything that you can find. And again, don't just type in generalized things. Like if you think you're finding pieces of information about Texas water pollution to a specific town, and then you just type that in and you just grab the first Google image and it's 20 or 30 years old and it's not actually referenced or set. I search through those things as you're presenting them. Those things will knock you down. So make sure we're finding information that's relevant to the topic, right? So let's go back to Texas STEM schools, right? Maybe it's better if we start broad. Just to kind of showcase, because we've got the word Texas and I want to look up schools that specifically look at STEM. Boom, right here, right? It's got STEM, it's got high schools, and it's got Texas. I feel pretty good about this, right? It's got the keywords that I'm looking for. I can download it, I can open it, I can look through this information, and I can pull up information specifically now related to this. And the beautiful part about this, guys, is that if you're not super stoked about this paper, you can go back and keep going down the list. Because again, you've told the library system what you want to look for. Peer review, specifically full text. I think I've beat that horse. Research in here, available electronic database. Make sure to use it. And again, where is it? It's in the library. Under academics, go to library and electronic resources. First one, EBSCOhost was the first one I used. That'll be perfect for the purposes of the research presentation. Okay, so now let's go back. So, okay, Dr. Varga, I've pulled my research papers, or I've pulled my one research paper. I've got my one peer review article. Okay, great. You can also use .govs, .orgs, but you need to have at least one of those peer review research papers that has to be represented, meaning just some of the information coming from a peer review research paper. This is good practice because again, really what's the goal? Research skills, presentation skills, honing in on a subject, telling me about something that is pertinent and something that is close by and proximity and why I should care about it, and wrapping it up, telling me what the status is, right? So after you go through and you find your research, then you're going to go and you're going to tell me about it. So again, if you follow step by step, then this is slide number 4. You're going to relate this back to something you learned in class. Again, where do we start with this? We're starting with choosing a topic that you found interesting, and you're relating it now back to, wow, I learned about air pollution, or I learned about how places that have air pollution have higher incidence rates of asthma, or places that have higher incidence rates of asthma maybe have bad pollen or lots of factories, right? You're relating it now back to this information. And yeah, use the book to your advantage. You have access to it. Pull information from there or relate it back. Say, this I found in chapter 17 or chapter 10 or chapter 11, right? Relate it back. Tell me why I should care in the context of the course, right? Then the overview slides, right? Now you're telling me what's the current status? What's the update? Is there a success here? Is there a win? Did we pass policy? Give me the update, right? Lastly, you're going to bring it home by what's the next steps. So again, if policy is being passed, where is it at in legislation? If there's an action committee to form for a cleanup site, what's the next steps of that? What's the NGO or the non-government organization that's involved? You know, if you're looking at a specific earthquake or a hurricane, you know, that came through Houston, please don't only do hurricanes in Houston. There's plenty of other things, and there's a lot of things even inside the hurricane in Houston that you can talk about. Any of that information, tell me what are we doing? What's the current status of it, and what's the next steps? Wrap it up with a bow. Go back to your introductory slide. Give me a relevant overview. What does the research tell us within this field? What is this answering? How is this giving us a broader insight into the future of this area? Is the policy being used in other locations now? Was it formed in, Lubbock, and now it's being utilized over in, Katy? Wherever it may be, there's going to be a connection to the next steps. Every research paper we look into, and almost every .gov and .org is an issue. They want to tell you, hey, this is what's happening and this is where we're going, because they want you to get involved and support it. They want you to vote for that referendum. They want you to give money to the cause, right? They want you to volunteer for the cleanup. So there should be no problem in finding kind of where is the research going based on what we found. Last big thing, reference slide, right? And I've got some requirements here on how to make my reference slide, but let's go back to our database. So let's say I really like this particular journal, right? This is what I'm going to use. I really like it. I'm going to absolutely pull this paper, and this is the one I'm going to utilize inside of my research presentation. I don't know where my STEM schools just went. Okay, so let's open this up. Okay, so now let's go down and let's look at some kind of different available things that we have. I might just need to find this quickly. It might be hidden over here. Okay. Share, download. Life is easy for you guys. Anytime you see this little cite or quotation, you have a cite button. Here is the citation for you, right? So if I want to copy the citation inside the virtual video presentation, I want you to have it in APA format. Makes it really easy for you because I can just go down to APA format and boom, there's my reference. That is what you will be copying and pasting and putting into your reference slide in alphabetical order, right? It's plain Jane. It's very easy. I try to make it as cut and dry as possible. The system does this for you. This is why you pay your student fees. It gives you access to these things. Ready to go, ready to put into your presentation. So now I've got what should be in my presentation, Dr. Varga. I've got a quick reference and some overview for how to put my reference slide together. I've got the video you've just made for me. How do I now make sure I'm getting an A? Okay. First thing after we make sure we've got our 8 slides and all the information, we need to record and upload it appropriately. I do not want presentations of just your voice. I don't want a black box. I need to see you. It's a video presentation. It's the only thing I have aside from the introductory video you all did, where I'm getting to see you guys and see you engage. And again, this is a tool. It's a resource that you can use if you're looking for future jobs as well, right? This is an example of a presentation that you've put together. So you must record your presentation in Zoom and then transfer it to YouTube. The reason I do this is so that you have access to it forever. Once you leave the university, you don't have access to Zoom anymore, right? But you will always have access to YouTube through creating your own little space and uploading it. It's yours. Now, the big thing is you have to make sure it's public. I have to be able to see it. If you keep it private, I'm not going to be able to see it, right? Anyone with the link, I think, is an option that you want to look for. That will only be pertinent to the class. When the class is over, if you want to delete the video and you never want to see it again, by all means. But if you want a space to have it, this is where it is, right? So the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to log into Zoom. You all have access to that. Then I've put in a series of different videos for a couple different things. How to record a presentation in Zoom, how to convert that Zoom into a YouTube video, and how to upload it into the discussion board, right? I don't just want a link. I'm giving you step-by-step directions for how to do this. This is part of the points, right? We haven't even talked about pizzazz and jazz and how well you're actually presenting. Right now, if we don't follow this, this is going to lose you points. So make sure you're following the directions, right? It's all there, step by step. If you have any questions, we have lots of time for you to be able to ask these things. Okay, so how will I be graded? I'm going to go over into the Word format of the research project because it's a little bit easier to read. I'm on my laptop, so it's a little bit tightened up. But how will I be graded? Okay, this is it. This is exactly all those bold points that you see. Those are things that are going to push you from the 7 range up into the 10 range, right? I need to make something unique. I also need to make sure that I have all the aspects that I require, including uploading it appropriately, right? It's pretty straightforward. The aid materials. This is a big one. What are you putting in? Are you just putting in stock images of a map of Texas? Are you just giving me stock images of trees, right? How well are you using your visual aids to sell the narrative of why this is a problem, right? Are you drawing me in through what you're presenting? If you're giving me very rudimentary, if your presentation looks all over the place, if you're presenting not in presentation mode, if I can't see you, if I can't hear you, all of these things are moving you very much into maybe the fair range, right? Just because you have things doesn't mean it's guaranteed an A, right? You have to ensure we're going above and beyond. That's why there's a range in terms of the grade. Timing. It should be a minimum of 5 minutes. There's no way you should be able to get through 8 slides in less than 5 minutes, unless you're just speed racing through it, right? This video is ridiculously long, but I want to make sure to give you all the right information. Really, if I give you the window 9 minutes, that should be max. If it's 10 because you're just so excited about it, that's awesome. That's really, really wonderful. But again, you're hoping that others want to watch your video and your topic so that they can make the comments on it, because that's the last part of the research presentation. Interacting with the audience. So here is now where those kind of, it's not a hard, easy, I've got my 8 slides. I've only went up to 9 minutes, Dr. Varga. I've got my 1 peer review. This is where that slide skill is a little bit gray. Now, how well are you presenting? If you are talking just like this and you are reading from something, that's not a great presentation. Let's be honest. No one's going to be really excited about that. But if you're talking to me like I'm talking to you now, and I can see you're excited, or at minimum, you've practiced so that you know, right? You're not, at least practice it. I've even had students bring in another family member that are off camera and have them giving it to them as if they're giving it to an audience. That's totally awesome. You can do that too, 100%. Also, display professionalism, right? I think we're a little too comfortable in the COVID era where, you know, students are sitting on their bed giving this presentation. Let's be professional, right? Let's put ourselves in an environment. Maybe we've got information in the background. You can blur, you can choose a fun virtual background. There's lots of things you can do. You know, let's put ourselves together for the aspect that maybe we need to use this in a job interview someday. You want to be prepared for that professionalism. Then last but not least, making sure that you have your research usage presentations, you have your site, you have your citation slides, you have things that are, again, we're back into the hard requirements of things. Okay. Once you have uploaded, you have done, you have submitted to the discussion board, right? You can see your YouTube video. You can put it away for a day. You can walk away from it. You can focus back on studying for your 3 chapters. Right? Because it's going to be due Wednesday for the video research presentation. Chapter 16 is going to be due Friday. You're going to need to make your 2 student comments by Saturday. And you have your 4th and last exam on Sunday. So it's a tight week, but you have a whole week and a half to have this prepared, right? That's why I'm giving you the extra time. So the last thing you have to do is, once you've uploaded by Saturday, December 2nd, you need to go in and answer these questions, right, on 2 other student classmates' videos. So you'll go back into the discussion board, You'll scroll through. Is there a particular topic you find interesting? Stop, pause on it, watch it. Then you're going to be giving the feedback again, and I'll send a reminder, but you're going to be putting out kind of like a personal engagement as if you were in the classroom with them. What's the feedback? How did you like it? What did you enjoy? What did you think was a success? What did you think maybe could have been a little bit more interesting to know more about, right? It's almost conversational style. But again, I need to see that we're answering these questions because this is the student engagement part of the class. It's the only way we can do this. The last bit of this is just some resources and some information for you to use to your advantage. But all in all, you have everything here for you to be able to be successful. Again, I've handheld you through this. If you are still confused, maybe you started to work on it, now you're not so sure after watching this ridiculously long video, come see me, set some time up, send me an email. I won't necessarily go through your presentation before it's due. That wouldn't be fair because I'm not putting in time for that in the class. But if you want to meet with me to talk about things, or you want to send me an email saying, oh, is this pretty specific or is this not specific enough? Those are easy questions I can respond back to, and I will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So that's it. I know this was a ridiculously long video, but I wanted to make sure to touch base on everything for you guys to be successful in this. And again, I've already got the older research video that I see some of you have looked through. Please go over it. Please look through. Please take the time. I've built in extra time at the back end of the course for you guys to be successful in this. Let's bring it home. Let's have a win. Okay. All right. Have a good one. And I will check in with you guys the beginning of next week. Take care.